Hi, Max.
Yes.
Woo! How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Tash?
I mean, not gonna lie, I'm great. It's a little early for doing a Zoom. Um,
I'm sorry. I was gonna do 8, but I was like, she's a whole hour. That would have been cruel. So I did
right?
it. I'm a
I
morning
had to,
gal.
yeah, I had to remind Max that I'm almost 54 years old and well, here's what happens with me, Max. I'm up in the night. I'm
Oh, I'm not.
literally like, I wake up at 2:30. Sometimes I try and go back to sleep. Sometimes I get up and I work till 4, or I read, or I look at my phone till 4 in the morning. So I
But
did that
not
last
me.
night.
Uninterrupted, 10:30 till 6. And if I teach spin, I wake up earlier, but I sleep at night.
Amazing.
Yeah,
By the
that's
way,
me.
anyone watching us is like, oh, who is that? It's Max, everyone. Let me tell you about Max. I met you. When did I meet you? RCC, Rhythm Cycle Club. Oh my God. Pilot Mound.
Pilot Mound,
That's where we did the first training.
Manitoba.
Yeah, of course, Manitoba. In the pandemic, we fully trained Pilot Mound on Zoom, on Zoom, didn't we?
Yeah.
So
What
that's
a time. What a time.
yeah. And I remember Max was from like not Pilot Mound, but a town close. So I was like, oh my God, she's so cute. And then I remember you right away, obviously.
I'm from, yeah, Brooksells. I'm an import, as we call ourselves. Mostly everybody here kind of moves into Mary Farmers. Just kidding. That's like a small portion of people, but that's me.
You married a farmer. And I
I
just
did.
found out. I mean, she's been married for a while, but I missed the cows. Max has
Yeah,
cows.
I do. I do. They're great. They're smart.
They're smart.
They are. They're trainable.
Like train them
Like
to drive
like
through.
a dog. Like you would make them sit, but they're smart.
Oh my God. This is why I don't do Zooms early. I haven't even
I
had one
can't wait to see
full
how this
coffee.
unfolds slash falls apart. We're good. We're good.
Okay, so everyone met Max, trained fully online at Pilot Mound. Then Max, I mean, not like right away, but then Max started Rhythm Cycle Club at Notre Dame. Did I say that right? Notre
You
Dame?
got it. For as francophones, it's Notre Dame, but yes, Notre Dame.
Notre Dame de
Oh,
Lourdes. De
de
Lourdes.
Lourdes.
Yeah, that's it. See?
Another small town in Manitoba.
Yeah, which you all are slaying. And then we
Yeah.
decided to start another studio. Boom! The studio on Sask
Yeah,
in Portage la Prairie.
you got it.
Yeah. And we've been working with them the whole time.
Yeah, AIT through and through, all the way, all the time.
Tell me more. Okay, well, so,
Oh gosh, I could go on and on and on. But people have asked me about training. I was like, I can't speak about anything else because I've never looked elsewhere.
yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love
And
that.
you and our OG Ali P, who trained us at Rhythm too.
God,
And
LAP.
then when Rhythm closed doors and I opened Rhythm Notre Dame, Ali came down. Ali's been down. She's flown to Manitoba a startlingly amount of times. A large amount of
She's so
time.
cute. She's like, remember she told us what once, not once, but recently, she was like, okay, I might take a break for the bike. And I was like, oh my God, like what would, and she's like, but not you all, like not Max. I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah. She said that she knows the Winnipeg airport really well now.
Yeah.
And the shared workspace people in Winnipeg, where she works when she comes down, know her by name.
Oh, oh, when she works on the day before she flies out?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, nice. Oh, that's amazing. That's impressive.
yeah.
God,
So
I love
we've brought her in repeatedly.
Yeah. There was one time actually that I had to sub for her last minute
Yes.
um, in K-Town.
Blarney. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was at least like I was riding the bike more, but I was definitely on the decline of, over 50. The bike is a
Right.
little bit killing me. It's very hard to keep up that intensity of the program. Like who made that stupid program anyway?
Who the
Oh my
came up with
God.
that?
Having said that, I always say I meshed programs to create it back in
Mhm.
2012. And
Cool.
wow, I barely made it through that weekend alive.
Yeah, those weekends are intense. Like we're gassed for days. I always feel bad for the instructor that teaches the morning after training weekend.
I know. No
That's
kidding.
the short, yeah, that's when you've drawn the short stick. Short straw,
Drawn the
whatever.
short stick. I also love that there's very few times I think I've made it in this world, and really I haven't, but when I feel like I've made it is when you all are out training and I get when it's close enough, like, and I get to show up at like noon. Like Courtney was up training rack, and I was like, oh, 2.5 hours away. I'll just like make coffee. Come on up. She's been training for 3 hours, and I just pop in to say hi. Or Delbert or whatever,
Yeah,
the places that are close enough. And I stay for a couple hours, high five, woo, and then just leave. And I'm like, this is when I've made it.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Very few, far between the moments, but right there is one of them.
When you get to see it in action.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
also it's not me because for years it was me.
that's
Like,
right.
come on, going, like I was training every
You were
week.
doing all the things.
Oh, it was insane. Like 2018, 19, also, this is literally the white hairs are having a life of their own. For anyone that wants to watch us on video, it's fantastic. Forgot the hairspray this morning. Anyway,
It's
in
early. It's
2000,
early for you.
yeah, right, exactly. But you're no kids? We're on.
It's today. Yeah,
Friggin' right. Anyway, I was training every weekend, literally every weekend,
that's
every weekend.
exhausting.
Yeah. Oh, it was
Holding a train, like attending a training, is exhausting because you're taking in all of the
mm,
information and just like drinking it all in, especially when LEP comes. I think we all just sit there like this and we stare at her
she's so incredible.
because she's just such a wealth of knowledge and experience and wisdom and all the things. But then when you do the training, it's something else to carry the group and keep the hype up
Yeah.
and make sure they're getting all the information. Like it takes a lot.
Yeah. It's a lot of energy.
Hmm.
And how do you know that? Because you became a master trainer last year.
Quietly, yeah, now we could say that last year.
Yeah,
Shout out to
you can.
Lakeside and Gimli. I did a couple of days of training. Michelle and I helped train that studio together, which was a really cool kind of hybrid model. Michelle did the online,
Yeah,
and then I'm in Manitoba, and so is Gimli. So I drove down a couple of times. Shout out to Steph, who joined in training day 2 with Gimli. But it was amazing to see, like, it was so cool to see all the light bulbs go off and things click because online training it's overwhelming. Like it's amazing, but the
yeah,
information that you deliver in your program, um, but you really have to sit there dumbfounded for a little bit and let it sink in.
yeah.
And then after you kind of come back to life from training, there's so many questions. And I mean, AIT, what's been, again, I'm never looking anywhere else because our trainers are available to us after training, which is so cool. So it's always been like a quick text to Ali or Tash and what was this again? And
Yeah,
I've tried providing that same thing to Leanne and Gimli, and she can message me and ask me some
yeah,
questions. But to see them see the full picture of the program and gain that appreciation that I did and continue to for like almost 5 years now,
yeah.
is the coolest feeling to witness.
Ooh,
It's the
almost five
coolest thing.
years.
2020 was our year, right?
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah.
2020 January is when OG RCC and Clarity opened doors and then had to shut down right away because the pandemic hit. Like they have been through it and they are still strong.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh, I have to get Caitlin on here, actually. I have to find Caitlin. Like, I'm like, where? It's so funny because there's so many studio owners that unless there's fires, because people were like, if there's a fire, Tash, Tash, Tash.
Right.
And then if there isn't, then it's like, great, da da da. And I'm like, oh my God, where is everyone? So I have to
Or
like,
you keep opening studios and then I get to stay in touch.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
keep
yeah.
hearing
Oh,
from
yeah,
me.
that's true too. That's amazing. Oh, we have to open another one. Like, I'm pretty sure we were taking over most of Manitoba.
Boutique, small town studios is
Yeah.
is the way.
But so that's actually, it's funny because that's one of my biggest passions is because I am from small towns. And remind me, because we have to talk about your interview that you did with the radio station. Because every time I listen to it, that one spot, and I just start to like tears just start to stream. And it's like you and I are so united on that vision of every small town needs a spin studio or a fitness studio, but obviously spin
Mhm.
if they don't have it there because for me personally, I'm from every small town. Like
Yeah.
I'm literally from a river road in Nova Scotia. Like you drive 25 minutes to Bridgewater. So, and then I lived in Harvey Heights outside Canmore. So it's like this little hamlet before the Banff Gates. And so
Right.
and Hudson outside Montreal. Like I am from every small town. And the impact of having a studio starting,
It's amazing.
it's incredible. And a lot of times, like I remember with Notre Dame, I can't remember, but finding a place that, it's also like, hey, I'm gonna build a studio in this place. It could be as simple with you. I think it might have been different, but definitely as Cinnaboy. I was literally saying to Shay, find a spot. Like, is there an old dance studio that shut down, or there's something, or it has a garage door, like a garage and one
Mhm.
bathroom. Like that's all you need. And then we
Yeah.
paint it and put up decals. Like the buy-in for creating that in a smaller town is like you can get secondhand bikes. I mean, ideally, I want everyone to have body bikes, but at the end of the day, there's secondhand bikes you can get from other studios or whatever, and you can literally start a studio for next to nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, the input. So like having opened one in a small town, shout out to Notre Dame, and in a city, which is Portage, like the input was honestly, it was huge in Portage. What it cost to start up a studio, leasing an actual commercial space, like it was, I knew it would be bigger in
Yeah.
numbers wise. So that was no surprise. But Notre Dame was amazing. And I can't, and I mean, looking at the communities that can support spin studios, like Notre Dame is just an incredible community that really rallies behind its businesses and its like community initiatives. There's a reason there's a splash pad committee, there's a ball
Oh,
diamond committee.
wow.
There's like so much going on in that town, but every cause is raising funds and the town shows up for all of them and including
That's
rhythm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
incredible.
But the thing is the price point. And I even say like when you start on Portage, or that was the big thing. I remember when they were starting One Cycle years ago, and it was like, okay, so the tile is from Italy. And I was like,
Mm.
wow, how do we make the tile look like it's from Italy, but it's from Home Depot discount section?
Yeah.
So I always say the more that you put in, the more potentially you could not get out. So
That's
there's
right.
lots of ways to make things pretty without spending all the
Yeah.
dollars. Right.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
at Portage, at the end
100%.
of the day, you're in a commercial space and da da da.
Mhm. Well, my
Yeah.
husband's a carpenter and he built that
On
space
top
for
of
me.
being a farmer.
He does a lot.
Oh, he's amazing. Well, he's amazing because you're like, and I want to start a studio and I want to do this and I want to do that and da da da. And
Yes, yes.
he's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, he is.
Yeah, he comes along for the ride.
He's like, what idea do you have next? And he's on board.
I love that.
When I said Portage, I was a little bit nervous because Notre Dame wasn't a year old. No, we celebrated a year
Yeah.
in May. And I had the idea last fall, like 2 falls ago, I guess now in
Yeah.
2023. Or no, it was last summer. I was driving through Portage and I was, this town doesn't have a fitness studio like for spin. And I was like, no, that's too big of an undertaking. I shouldn't. I have one studio. I should be happy with
Yeah.
that. I also work part-time as a social worker. So I was like, too much on your plate.
Right.
But like this idea festered in the back of my brain, it wasn't going anywhere. So I asked Mac, yes, his name is Mac, and I'm Max. It
Yeah.
gets confusing sometimes.
Yeah.
And I was like, I
Back
was
and
driving
Max.
through Portage the other week, and what about we do spin there? And he's like, oh, tell me more. So yeah, we hit the ground running.
Ooh, and also those three words. Getting to know your
Mhm.
clients, right? In classes, any fitness classes, like how to get to know them. What
Tell
are
me
the three
more.
magical words? Tell me
Yeah,
more.
yeah,
Do you remember that from
I
training?
do.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay, so hit the ground running, da da da. Pre-sales off the hook in both
Off the
areas.
hook.
Off the hook.
Both studios. Oh my gosh, people were so excited.
Yeah,
And like in Notre Dame, I'm talking people who've maybe only seen spin on Instagram or they've
yeah,
been a couple of times in the city if they used to live in the city. But a lot of people had never been on a bike before, which is my story, which is why I like can
right.
come from the most genuine place and say like you don't have to ever. When RCC Pilot Mound opened, Merritt texted me and said, I know you don't know me, but there's a spin studio opening up in Pilot Mound. Would you be interested? And I was like, I don't think I can. Like, I've never touched a spin bike in my life. And she goes, not a condition of training.
Not even a problem.
Not at all. And so it was a yes from there. That was like, I think the biggest yes I've ever, sorry.
And why did Merritt message you? Like, how did you know Merritt?
I didn't. She knew a friend of mine, a mutual friend, and she texted her. She says, "Do you know anybody that has like good energy and is like reliable in all of the things that you look for in teammates?" And my friend Nat referred her to me. So she texted me. She's like, "Somebody called Merritt's going to text you. She's not selling you anything. So please respond. It's not spam, but I think you would be a great person for this."
Oh my
And
God. And are you still friends with her today?
Nat,
Yeah.
and she's in my wedding party. She's my bestie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
she is the why. It comes down to her.
no, but like, are you kidding me? So she
Yeah.
thought of you, messaged you, and now 2 studios later,
And now here we are.
does she must have an honorary membership,
No, she lives in
obviously.
Winnipeg. She lives too far.
Damn
But
it.
she's come. When she comes out, she's coming.
Yeah. Okay, that's
Yeah.
amazing. Okay,
Yeah.
going back to the other 2 studios. So with this, so there's a couple things. A, when you rolled into Notre Dame, you already knew, like when you're a part of a studio or a fitness studio club, whatever, you start to see how they're run, right? Like you start to
Yeah.
get to know scheduling and all that stuff and what times
Hmm.
work. So all that can roll into your studio. Um,
Yeah.
oh my God, I'm like blacking out of what was the question.
I mean, I could say more
Oh,
about that though, but keep going now that you have
okay,
your
but I was talking about what I'm thinking about is our methodology for starting a studio. Because
Mhm.
sometimes people listen to our methodology and move with it, and sometimes people don't and decide to do it their own way. And
Yeah.
the difference is insane. And you're an example of like, this is how we do it, this is how we do it, and da da da, and roll in your isms. But it's all about finding the team and you practice together and we get little videos and we're like, we're
Yeah.
coming and we share with all our friends and we get the town. Like the town gets excited anyway, but it's also all of us, the people that we pick for training, and
Yeah.
they get excited and they want to share it with all their friends. And then we have the little shout outs on Instagram and we make
Hmm.
everyone a part of the studio starting, right?
Yeah. Get
Recording all
everybody
the little
invested.
things. Yeah, get everyone invested. So when we do that and have our methodology and run through it, like we open with a bang.
Oh, a bang.
A bang. But I've definitely had other studios that are like, well, no, I'm going to do it this way or da da da. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then, like, week one of them open, they're like, Tash, why are the instructors the only one in the classes? And I was like,
Mhm.
right? Because a lot of people,
Yeah.
if they own another business, they already know it or whatever. They think they know it. And I guess for me, I've gotten tired as I've gotten older. So I'm like, if you know it, fine, and then I just try and clean it up after.
Just hard work.
Yeah. Well, and it's my reputation, right? It's a
Well,
my
you only get to open once, right? Like you get one chance to make
yeah,
a bang, to set your
yeah,
reputation, to set expectations. And if you ever have to backtrack or make corrections to that, that's so much more work than, yeah, you're fixing as opposed to just doing it,
yeah.
right?
You're
So
opening and
yeah. So in terms of the methodology, every time, I don't know, I always go back to there's a reason. There's a reason
yeah,
Tash
yeah,
recommends we do it that way. And I would be a fool to not realize that everything that you suggest or recommend or teach is because you've learned from it. So like why
yeah,
learn from the same mistakes? Why go through what's already been done and
yeah,
figured out? And so applying like what I've learned through AIT is the reason I've got 2 studios that are doing really well. And Notre Dame, I think, is a 700-person town. Like it is not a huge population within the town itself, but it is so well situated within other small communities that are
yeah.
also
So you
looking
have
for
feeder towns,
expansion.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Love
And
that.
so like you don't need to be in a city to have a successful spin studio.
And that, okay, so that's nice. That's full circle. Back
Hmm.
to every town, small city needs a spin studio. Or, and again, I say spin studio, but it could be spin nowadays when we start maybe spinning something else, or we run spin for a couple of
Yeah, yeah.
3 years, and you can kind of like add on complement
Nice to
classes with
increase
others.
offerings. Yeah.
Yeah, increase
Because what
offerings.
I've seen in both studios is some people, especially Notre Dame, because spin and bar happens in the same room, and it was the same thing in Pallet Mound.
Yeah,
Is that they would come for bar because that, they had a friend bring them in for that, or the low
yeah,
intensity, low impact, but like high burn brought them in, but then they see the bikes and they ask questions and they check it out. So you size them up on a bike and you get them fitted and they could ride and try it out. And then
Love.
they try spin. So
Yeah.
it's not always like directly to that, but
Yeah.
a lot of people do find their way there, which is
Yeah.
amazing.
I was suggesting the handle bar class, like half spin, half bar. And instead of like building a bar around the outside, again, it goes to
We
adaptability.
did that in Pallet
We
Mountain. We
was,
did the
yeah,
10
we
bar
did that. I
combo.
know because I was like, Caitlin, she was also really good at listening to all my ideas. But I was
Mhm.
like, at the end of the day, we just use the bar of the handlebars.
Yeah.
And then we just have to make sure we do everything kind of like this way, as opposed to like, although
Yeah,
nowadays, we
exactly.
have a bit more room, but yeah, call it handle bar, BARRE.
Clever. Nice play on words, Tash.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm like, maybe I saw it somewhere. I have no idea if I ever invent stuff or see it somewhere.
I
I can't remember. It's,
haven't
oh,
heard it, so that's clever.
yeah, I call it
Oh.
ADHD on fire. Very creative. Um, okay. My other question is biggest takeaway from training? Like, what would you say was your biggest? And again, because we have Max, like Max represents being online, learning how to ride a bike, as she said, in Pilot Mound online in 2020. Like, we trained them how to ride the bike on online
Very
and then
clever.
teach and everything like that. And then from RCC starting up, and then from your training perspective of every time Allie P came to town, like what would you say is your biggest takeaway?
Well, A, there's always something new to learn. Like you
I
do
love
level 1 and 2 through AIT and you've only scratched the surface, and it is mind-blowingly tons of information, and there's still more, which
there's still,
is
oh yeah,
so cool. But I think my favorite thing about AIT, which is I mean, I talk about AIT a lot.
I love that. By the way, if anyone doesn't know,
And it always comes back to like the values of the program, which are
oh,
not coincidentally the values of my studios, is the authenticity piece, like you have on your sweater. And with authenticity comes inclusivity, which is really important to me too, and in my studios and within my teams. And so those are the takeaways, is that never once, I don't know, there's what I don't know if it's referred to this as well, but like Instagram spin, which is really showy and it looks super cool with complicated combos and stuff.
choreography.
But that's not really beginner friendly at all. And it doesn't invite anybody who I don't, yeah, it's
That's
not for
another
me.
thing, as you know, that I'm super passionate about. It's literally like, okay. I mean, I make it
But
my
we
goal.
talk about purpose, right? And AIT and
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
functionality of what we do.
Yeah.
And so I see this Instagram and it's really intimidating, first of all. So a lot of people are like, I'm not coming to
Yeah.
your
No.
studio. I can't do that. I
Yeah.
don't want.
Yeah.
And I'm always glad to say we don't do, 16 move combos. And you wonder like what is the point of that other than it looking really cool
On
uh,
video.
on video, which one of my teammates went to a studio somewhere else and it was content day and they shoved her to the end of the row because
Oh,
she
yeah.
wasn't a rider, and they did not make her feel like she would want to
Like
come
that.
back because they were
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you don't look good enough on camera. We can't put
Oh
you.
my God. Like, I
So
don't
anyways,
that story. And I'm
AIT
like,
is
here it is. This is
AIT
the
is
stuff.
not that, which I think is my biggest takeaway too. So that I think, and it comes from this program. I don't know if it was you or Ali P, but like spin is for everybody and every body. And I
Body.
love
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
that there's no look to how you need to
Yeah.
be as a rider. You just have to show up like willing to do something new and to do something that'll challenge you. But it's so much more than spin.
At the end of
And
the day,
yeah.
well, yeah. At the end of the day, it's like it goes back to that line that you even said on the radio station, and you were like, as long as you're moving your legs, you're a part of this room, and that's obviously a
Mhm.
huge part in our training.
Yeah.
The things like, okay, so I don't even know that story that you told me, but I literally like it just that's the stuff that throws me right over the edge.
Yeah.
And that actually happened back in the day, like that first studio I worked with, one of our greatest clients. So this actually happened to me before any of you guys all saw it. And, nowadays, like
Yeah.
this was in 2013, literally they pulled someone out of the front row to the back row because he wasn't keeping up. And I was like, it doesn't matter because the front
Oh,
row is like, you want to get to the front row and you want to be in the front row. And it's like, every fucking row matters. And
No
you
kidding.
can't push. Like I fundamentally, literally, like that was the start of the decline to leaving that studio. And again, it goes back to everything you believe in. If
Mhm.
it doesn't matter if one person in the front row hasn't got it. Like if they're purposely doing their own thing, yeah, I'm like, move it back or just what are you doing here in the
Yeah,
nicest way possible. Like, no, no. But at the end of the day, it's all about moving together and feeling
yeah.
successful. And a lot of the Instagram stuff
Hmm.
is put together and people are pulled. People are actually pulled because, and clients are pulled
The things you
so
don't
that
see.
they, exactly. Well, that's the thing. So they have all the people that have practiced this choreography, da da da. They're all in the front. They look fantastic. It goes viral. Yay, good for you. Yay.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that's not attainable for 80% of the population. Also,
No, and you're losing
leave
so many potential customers, but also just you're losing potential community. Like the
yeah,
relationships that are made within studio, you're excluding so many people if right away they don't see themselves as being belonging to what you're in, what your Instagram, what your spin looks like. Something else that, and I'll bring it back to like AIT,
you don't
but
have to.
I went to a
Hello, we don't have to
studio.
talk about AIT. By the way, for people that don't know, AIT is authentic instructor
I did
training.
that. Yeah. You have it on your
Just
shirt.
FYI, because we all say AIT, and I'm like, people sometimes don't know.
Right. Right. The AIT, that's what we mean. But another story, and the point of like telling these stories is just because it reinforces so strongly within me why these values are important in my
Mhm.
studios. And it's part like I have to see that these things are important to you too when you're joining my team, which is why we ask them specific questions in our interviews. And it's less about have you taught before or written before, but what do you think belonging looks like? And how do you create that in a space? And those are the questions that those are the answers we're looking for.
Yeah.
But the other story that really stands out to me is going to a studio I'd been to once. My sister has been to regularly, and then we went with her sister-in-law who had never done spin before. And great studio, amazing energy. The
Okay.
room is amazing. The music is amazing. The instructors are incredible. But they open the door, or that time, 5 minutes till start time. She's a new rider. They see that my sister and I have gone before, so they go, "You guys can set her up." And I'm like, oh my gosh, even the time we spend learning like how to properly
Yeah.
set people
Oh my God,
up,
we spend like almost a whole class
they
on it,
don't know that I'm an instructor,
which is good. Yeah.
which is good.
Yeah.
So there's the assumption that I know that. It's just you guys can set her up. And Tash, lights went down. I didn't have her clipped in. I wasn't clipped in. Didn't have her adjusted on her bike. So she at the end of the class, she was like, the whole experience was lost on me because she's like, if it had started well, I could have gotten into the music. I could have gotten into this, but she couldn't. She said, I would never go to spin again
Yeah. That I'm
because
telling you
of that
those stories.
experience. Yeah, it's so, anyways, like,
Yeah.
all of these two stories is just like I never want anybody to feel like I was made to feel in that class, like seeing her, but also just I was a second time rider and you shut the door and I was stuck between bikes and I couldn't see. It was pitch black. And so there was safety there.
Safety
Bikes are
first,
so
not
close, you
second.
actually can't, like if you're depending on when you're at in the room, you can't get out of your space without like getting the other rider beside you to move. Anyways, so all of those things have played into, as much as it would be great to shove a bunch more bikes in my studios and make more money per class because it is a business at the end of the day,
Yeah.
that took away so much from my experience as a rider that I'm like, I'm not going to lose sight of that.
Yeah. Good
If
girl.
you're pumping and you're bumping elbows with your neighbor constantly, like you
No.
can't pump, you can't do it properly. You're
Yeah.
weary the whole time.
Yeah.
And that first rider, like as much as Instagram spin looks cool, it's never like that's not what matters to our studio is the
No.
flawlessness of it. Or making riders feel like, hey, you don't look good, move on back. Like there's no such thing.
I've been, there's a movie, I Feel Pretty, and I've been adding that in to the course. So I always start adding stuff in.
Okay.
So I added that in because there's a situation. Amy Schumer goes to a soul cycle class, and it's funny at the beginning because she's like, I want size, blah, blah, trying not to say her shoe size because she has big feet. But there's a couple things in that she goes into the studio and nobody helps her with the bike setup, or somebody may have said it won't help, and everyone's like warming up and running so fast.
Mhm.
And anyways, she doesn't tighten her seat and it drops. Okay,
Mhm.
so then she leaves the studio ripped. And again, as funny as it is, the next time one of the Soul Cycle instructors, she comes back, which by the way, she came back, which is huge because people wouldn't. And then she
Yeah.
came back and it's like, it actually is a Soul Cycle instructor in this movie. And it's like, I'm going to change your life and I'm going to do this. And are you excited? Yeah. No queuing around resistance. People are just
Mm.
moving their legs, moving their legs, moving their legs. And this is
Yeah.
actually on my blog. So you can watch this clip. Like I have it attached to
Oh,
the
nice.
YouTube. I will send it to you for sure. And literally, she flies off the bike.
For sure. There's no safety there. If you don't even understand the basic
No,
mechanics of the bike.
no. Yeah, and I literally say, as funny as this is, although it's not funny, and this actually happens all the time. And for
Mhm.
me, one of the biggest things is learning resistance. What does it feel like? What is it, because again, we have to translate to the clients what it
Yeah.
feels like, or they won't know. And things like
Mhm.
that can happen. And so that goes back to the safety first, not second. And it's a great clip. It's so good.
In that movie. Yeah. Again, like you said, it's funny, but it happens in real life and it makes people feel really shitty.
Well, then why would you ever go back? And I guess for me, like that goes back to the inclusivity AF with our core
Mm.
values is like we leave no one behind.
Yeah. That
So
makes me think of something else too that I really like. So other people who've gone to other studios that have like leaderboards and stuff,
yeah,
and they get to our studio and we've got the stages, SC2s, which are amazing bikes too.
yeah.
I
Yes,
love
they
those.
are. Stages is back now, thank God. Yes, Giant. They
Yes,
bought Stages.
yeah. What a
Or
relief.
no, they didn't buy Stages. Sorry, they got Stages.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, so we have those bikes, but we don't have the power meter ones and we don't have the leaderboard, which is, I mean, I've gone to another studio and you get your stats after, and that's super cool.
Yeah.
But sometimes the riders ask us, like, why don't you have that? I wish I knew where to turn the resistance to. Like they wish that they had specific numbers to reach or things
Of
like that.
course. Yeah.
And we're like, if that makes so much sense. And that's especially a need that's expressed like when you first start to spin within your first few classes, because you don't know what it feels like until you've gone, 5 to 7 times is a really good rule of thumb to try a class before you really make a decision about it, because you're not good at anything usually the first time, nor do you
No.
understand it the first
Yeah.
time. My experience from class 1 to 2 was like wildly different. But in like our response, and this was something that a few of the team members had asked too. I was like, if you show up every day and you are leveled against every single person in your class, it's a competition against them then, and it's no longer trying to better yourself just for you. And B, if you think that you should hit this many calories or this
Yeah.
whatever measurement every class, but you didn't sleep last night and your kid kept you up or your dog kept you up
Yeah.
or you worked a double shift and you still showed up to spin, you don't want to feel like shit because you didn't get here. You want to feel so good because you made it anyways, regardless
Yeah.
of the numbers. So then
Yeah.
when we flip it and look at it that way, we're like, oh yeah, like I appreciate that. Otherwise, every time you don't make that number, you feel like you
You feel like a
failed.
bag of shit. But the
Yeah, and
other
that's
thing
not gonna make
is
you want to come back.
we cue around every pedal stroke. Like, what does it feel like? Here's what you
Mhm.
should feel at base. Here's what you should feel when we're racing. And that goes back to the reason why I never brought numbers in. And again,
Mhm.
it's not bad to have numbers. It's not for me because the other thing that you didn't mention, it takes away from the music because it's the
Mhm.
whole thing of the music. And so when
Yeah.
you're looking at the metrics all the time, and especially if you're OCD, right? So I'm like, okay, well, fuck. Okay. So, and also if the instructor's queuing, you should be like from 8 to 10 and I'm not. And then I'm going to feel like a bag of shit because I can't get
Yeah.
up to 8 or 10. Again, it goes back to all those things.
Yeah.
But
But even just the, like you said, paying attention, like
yeah,
the that, you go into this dark room, the doors close, the music goes up, and the instructor starts to do their thing with the class. You would miss out on so much if you're focused on numbers. If you're focused just on hitting a number, you're missing a lot of the important cues, A, for safety and
yeah,
resistance. But also
yes,
there's so much inspirational shit that gets
yeah,
thrown at you in class.
yeah.
And I've cried and I've laughed, and many people could say the same thing. So if I was so focused on numbers, I think I would lose out on that.
That's exactly it. And it's
Yeah.
more about the music and moving to the music,
Mhm.
right? The other thing is, oh my God, what was I going to say? I did black out. God damn it. Because I was up in the night. The other thing I was gonna say,
Feel free.
numbers, music. No, lost it.
I'll take a snack break while you think.
Okay, you take a snack break. Okay, so the other thing is what we call, and this actually came from Kevin, what we call the Instagram instructors, we call them splashy. So that's kind of a
Flashy.
nice way. Yeah, they're splashy. Like it's kind of splashy and it's like
Mhm.
all over. So that's cool. That's kind of my wording for that. Instagram spin. Splashy. And then actually Bree has a great, I think I've said this on other coffee chats too. Bree has a great thing. One of our girls from Spin House is like you want everyone in your class to look like they're in a music video,
Mm.
right? Like that's, and so
You're
one of
lost in
the
it.
things, yeah, one of the things I'm going to add in this year in the newsletter is I'm going to add a song. Like I actually tested this with one of my girls that trained here in Calgary. So met her for breakfast, put the headphones in, one in each, and I was like, okay, picture this, like fast climb, boom, 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 and like every turn and da da da, and then like booty tap, boom, and she was like, yeah, and I was like, okay. Because again, for me, it's about the music you pick.
Mhm.
And so for me, my biggest combo, which I think we've all known, is like booty tap and then pump tap or dip tap. Like that's like my one of my tops. I don't really add in much more choreography than that because with my brain, I actually wouldn't remember it. Right. So I wouldn't. I'd be like, okay, we were
I mean,
lost.
you set yourself up for success based on what you
Yeah.
know about yourself.
Yeah. And I pick songs where I know we go into the beat drop, it hits me in the face. We come out. Who's there?
My husband.
Hi, Mac.
Oh, hi, Ethan. It's not my husband. It's my
Hi,
husband's cousin.
Ethan. It's not my
Hi. You have
husband.
to go eat in my house.
Yeah, I know. Can I go to coffee?
Yeah, you can. I'm in my husband's office and they don't know that I'm here. So they're back.
Oh, so everyone's like, hey, Mac. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're
No,
gonna go eat in the
no.
kitchen at the house.
Okay, that's fine. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, that was my thing. So I'm gonna start to add that in the newsletter of just like, here's the song, here comes the night, here's the link, and here's what I would do with it.
That's
And see if
cool. So just some
people,
choreo?
yeah, like, but just again, light choreo. And I think that
Yeah.
that because there's a lot of people. I did a coffee chat with Kat, who again is the girl out in Gatineau, who's like our
Mhm.
staff.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of the biggest things about her coffee or her chat with me was like once she started teaching, she watched all the Instagram spin and then couldn't keep up with it, didn't, and then quit altogether for like a month.
Oh,
And I was like,
okay.
oh my God. And so now we make everyone listen to or watch her coffee chat as part of the homework before they finish the
I like
course.
that.
So good. And that was Emily's idea. That was so good.
Okay.
Um, but at the end of the day, yeah, I'm going to start to add that in and just see because I had a bunch of instructors email me and say, thank God I was going to quit teaching. And, you know, as much as it's okay to add a lot of choreography in, again, if your class, I always say, here's my code of
You got to know your riders.
yeah, if 3/4 of your class can keep up and then the other ones are new and you're including them and da da da,
Mhm.
like fine. And you're pre-queuing it, not
Yeah,
like we're going to be doing
properly.
this. Okay, it's coming in 3, 2, 1. Like it's pre-queuing into the whole thing. That's fine.
Yeah.
But if it's you and two instructors in the front row, that's my be fired.
Mhm.
You'd be fired.
Yeah,
And
you're not
I
going to
still
teach
hear
like
stories about
anybody
that
else.
all the time. Like somebody last week was like, yeah, I went to this class and they didn't sit down the whole class and
Oh
actually
man.
harder in the saddle, just so you know. Like, oh my
I
God.
like and like talking about music, I think that that's the great, not the greatest. There's so many great things about AIT. We're back here. But one
Oh
of
my
the things
God.
I
No
appreciate
wonder
the
I made you a
most,
master trainer.
one of
Sorry.
the at the top of the very long list of things that I love, is
Anyone? Did anyone
music
hear
training.
that?
It's the music training that you get through. I think a lot of the times when I've approached somebody or when I've hired somebody to be in as an instructor, like, where do I get my music? I don't know how to find music. How do I
Yeah.
find music? I'm like, you get everything.
Yeah.
AIT gives you everything you need. You get starter playlists.
Yeah.
And they don't believe you at first when you say that you're going to hate all of the songs on these playlists because you're going to use them and then you're going to start to veer off because you have the
Yeah.
confidence, you have the knowledge
Well, we
to
teach
pick
them how to
music
tap,
that
right?
you can teach. But
Yeah.
the fact that we get music with training and starter playlists is huge because I wouldn't know where to start otherwise. It's like you
So there
really
is other
you could have
trainings.
no experience, do AIT and become a spin instructor.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm in. Next training starts January 14th. But so one thing I have heard is a lot of other trainers are not giving new people music. And so to me, I actually can't fathom that. And I've literally heard about that since 2016. I think it was Ride YXE. There was an instructor there, Mac, and she had been trained in Kelowna. And they were basically told, I think, like from what I understood, they were told to pick a song and then teach it without any knowledge of. And so she was actually set up for failure. She had
There's
like
no
a ride
base
out
there.
song. And I'm like, I cried. We actually had to stop the training because I started crying so hard. I literally had to stop the training for 10 minutes because I was like, I don't even know. Maybe it was like, I don't know, a bad day anyway. But
Mhm.
to me, that it hurts my heart because you're
That was her
literally
start.
setting someone up for failure. Like, how
Hmm.
do you find your music? Oh, I just feel it. I was like, okay, cool. But you need the foundation underneath you.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
what?
not everybody's musical either. Some people hear music and that's great. And that, I
Yeah.
mean, I would
Yeah.
say off the top that that's an advantage because it's one less thing to learn or to begin to
Absolutely. Yeah.
understand. But if you don't hear music, if you don't hear the beat, like tempo tapping is huge in AIT and in our training. And it's a light bulb for people because they're like, now I get how music works. And they start to be able to
Yeah.
project what happens in a song or identify what it
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
with practice and just with lots of listening time
Yeah.
everywhere in
Tons.
life.
Yeah. Tons.
But I can't imagine being handed a song and being like,
But there's
figure
so
it
many
out.
people not even handed a song. Go find a song and teach it. And it's like, yeah, and yeah, anyway, I just like literally had to take a break from training because I was so disheartened. Also because I knew the trainer. So I was just devastated that
Sad for them.
that that actually like that's what you're doing. Like I just was like, ugh.
Mhm.
So anyway,
But yeah,
at the end of
I'm
the
sure
day,
that's part of why like your program is so comprehensive and continues to be
hmm,
and like grows and grows that way too because of all these horror stories we can call them
yeah.
or these
That's
like
a thing that's
rough
bad.
starts.
Yeah, rough start. Oh my God, that's a good one, like rough starts.
Mhm.
But the thing is that girl did come back. But then,
Amazing.
and I think that was part of my devastation was like, she was an amazing instructor. Ended up being one of the team leaders with that studio. And
Mhm.
imagine if she didn't come back, if she that
Yeah.
experience stayed. The only reason she went back the next day was because she paid money. She paid
Okay.
money and she was like, I'm not wasting my
I
money
get what
because
I paid for.
yeah. Otherwise,
Yeah.
she would never would have came back. And we would have not had this incredible instructor. And I do believe stories like that. And
Mhm.
if anyone's listening to this and that something like that has happened, like just message us. Cause yeah, we make a lot, we get you back. We'll get you back.
Mhm.
Yeah. Anyway, we've spent a lot of time. There were so many other things we were going to talk about, but I feel bad because I'm taking up so
Go
much
down the
time.
list. Keep going.
Really?
Yeah, I don't even know what we're at.
I don't know. Yeah, because of course we don't have a schedule.
What is that?
Okay, so something crazy happened with Max. So Max works with Gimli, and I did
Mhm.
check with Max with you to see if you would talk about this. But
Yeah.
so what happened was you trained Gimli, you did those 2 training days. We've opened Portage, you're teaching everything. And then when did this start happening? You started having debilitating pain in your head? Is that
Like episodes, we'll call them, because they were so short. They were like 15, 20 seconds, but really, really bad, like pounding in the back of my head. And out of nowhere, like kind of one morning it started, and I was like, this isn't normal. And it would be bad on some days and not so bad on other days. But it got to the point in the fall, like in September, October, I was like, you know what, I'm done living with this. And also, things just are not right. This isn't how my
hold
brain
on
was
one second though.
wired.
But was it like once a day? Was it
A couple times an hour,
it would be for an
do
hour?
a couple, no, a few times per hour on
Oh,
rough days, or like a few times in a day on good days.
Jesus.
Yeah. So anyways, come October, had a doctor's appointment, got a CT in November, got 2 MRIs in November. And so like given the state of our healthcare system, which isn't fantastic in Manitoba and I think elsewhere, um, it was very fast. It was start to finish 2 months from when I first got my first CT, and then when my surgery is on Monday, so in 2 days, 3 days.
On Monday. Okay, but
Yeah.
let's tell everyone what was the verdict.
Yeah, so they've discovered it's called a Chiari malformation. I don't know how rare or common it is, but it just means that the back of my skull is like a little bit too in. So it's applied pressure to my brain, it's cut off, or it has very much like stifled the flow of cerebral spinal fluid, CSF, in my brain and spinal system. So my brain has been slipping down into down out of my skull. Don't know how long this has been actually happening. According to my scans, I have a pretty severe case, but not severe symptoms. Like at this point, based on what my surgeon saw, he said, I'm surprised you don't have like a loss of like feeling and strength and like fine motor skills. My impression was that he thought I would be hobbling in there, not still teaching spin and bar. So yeah, but he did. I'm on not bed rest. I'm on bike rest. I can't be on the bike.
So Max, okay, so Max so basically what I took from this is that her brains are too big for her skull because she's so smart. So that's my big thing. Which by the way, this is nuts because like we brought her on as a trainer, we got big things planned, like not with AIT, but everywhere. And so it was like, what? So this was like, first of all, insane. And then
wild.
Just took it like a champ. Like she's like, all right, okay, this is what it actually is. Da-da-da. I was like, Max was in palliative care. She works in
I work in palliative care.
Yeah, so very aware. So I guess you had bigger scenarios of what it could be versus what it was. And so Max thinks this is a great outcome.
I'm like, what? That I got answers so quickly and that there is a solution to my problem.
Yeah.
So soon. So gratitude was my word for 2024.
Yay. But so you haven't taught a class in
2 months almost. Mid-November, I think. December, almost 2 months.
Yeah.
But we did our last training with Ali P, and then I was told to stay off the bike. But I also probably I think I did not ask on purpose because there was no way in hell I was on a training weekend with Ali. So on the Tuesday, I was like, hey, should I still be on the bike?
Might as well just push it right to the wall.
My priorities might have been a little bit there, but
well, I mean, the goal is because this is our 4th amp up with you. Like, I mean, through all the studios. So I was like,
yeah, I think
we're gonna blow her mind. And I was going through all my old.
I still sat there taking it all in.
So excited.
But surgery, I've got 3 things going on. They're doing a posterior fossa decompression, which is removing the back part of I don't know how small, piece of my skull to make more room. And then a laminoplasty, something like that. They're taking off the top part of my spine, and a laminectomy, that's what it is. And then a duroplasty, which is expanding the dura, which is like the skin around your brain and your spine. So 3 things happening on Monday. Should be out for like 4 to 6 weeks. It's a 3 to 4 hour surgery.
Look how calm she is. She's like, surgery on Monday, 3 to 4 hours. Okay, I'm calm. Okay, great. How long are we in the hospital?
2 days if things go well. 2 weeks if they don't, and it's mostly infection and like CSF fluid leak, which are the rest of the surgery and fixable things. So,
and then they're saying you can go back to the bike in 6 weeks.
Completely.
Come on,
like
Max.
No, yeah.
But
you even said in the post-op papers, Tash, that you could ride a bike at 2 weeks, just nothing intense. And they're of course not talking about a spin bike.
Yeah, exactly. They're like recumberment,
like a nice
Max is like, oh, the champ.
I'm ready to get back to the bike. I've been a good girl. I haven't spun. I haven't done anything. Yeah. I've just gone for walks.
Yes, and you got a puppy, which was perfect. Baxter. Yeah. Yay, that was like perfect timing, or not.
He's adorable. It was, because then I have a little buddy to go on walks with. I have children.
Yeah. Well, you have children.
My dog walks. my children get distracted. My dog is good at like walking in a straight line. I think someone is clearing snow with a tractor behind me. I don't know if you can hear that, but I live on a farm.
Yeah, but like, so then all of a sudden it's like, oh, Max has a farm. Max has cows. You even got a picture of a cow. I need a picture of a cow like in your spag
Oh
with the
my
cow
God.
beside like leaning on the cow. Something cool. Like it's gotta be good.
Okay.
That's for sure. And then Max has kids, and then Max has a puppy dog. You have a kitty too, no? No, no kitties.
No,
No
no,
kitties. No, no.
no kids.
And barn cats. And
Fun.
Max has surgery on Monday.
I have surgery on Monday, and I'm
Okay.
excited to get back to the bike.
Me too. I'm
Very
excited to be
excited.
back
Although
to
I'm excited to be a rider again, which I do my best to do a couple of times a month. I go and ride somebody else's class. And that
yeah,
is also to anybody else who like owns a studio or teaches spin, ride other people's
tested
classes
nice.
because like
Right.
get back in touch with your why and what you love about these, about this exercise and these classes. And it always reinforces that like I know I love it and I know it's
Mm.
great and I know all of these things, but to not have to be doing the thinking that goes like there's so much going on in here when you're instructing,
Yeah.
um, that it is not the same when you get to just let it go and let it be.
Well, you know what's
So
really
my
interesting?
goal is to just ride in February, Tash.
Oh, that's so good. No, I'm
Yeah,
in.
and only
I'm
come
in.
back
Well,
on the
you're gonna have
schedule,
to ease back
unfortunately.
in. Like, geez.
Yeah, endurance wise,
Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's good.
I have to work my way back.
But fun fact, when you said get back in touch with your why, do you
Mhm.
know that lots of people actually don't know their why? It's one of the
I
workshops I
wouldn't be
do.
surprised, but that's part of what we do in AIT.
Yeah.
Why
Well,
you do
I definitely did. Like, I have a whole workshop. I've actually been doing workshops with
that,
community
right?
teachers, right? And I need to do them back with us because in 2021, was it? We did them online and we did like core values and finding your why and imposter syndrome and self-love and all that. But finding your why is very interesting because it's like, and it's funny, I'll have a Legree client or whatever group exercise client talk to me after class and they're just like, I don't know what my purpose is. And I'm like, that's finding your why. Like, what lights you up? What gets you out of bed in the morning? What do you cry at in movies? What are you passionate about? And like, people haven't found their why. It's crazy. You're on mute.
I come back.
Anyway,
I
I
think so. It's
have the
good to
goal
have
of
a why
being,
to come back to. I mean,
but
it's
you
so
have to
difficult.
because
You
on the
don't
days that you
right.
don't want to get out of bed, you need something that's going to get your ass out of bed.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
we launched a New Year's challenge in Portage, and we'll be doing the same in Notre Dame.
Yeah.
But there's like a questionnaire that they have to fill out. It's just like the first question is the only one that's mandatory, which is what is your goal? Because they get to set their own goals.
Yeah.
But questions 2 and 3 have more to do about like how do you want to feel after and
Nice.
what are you looking for out of this challenge and like showing up repeatedly for yourself and what is your why? Why are you starting? And so it's optional. You don't have to share that with us.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we're going to send their answers back to them when they complete their challenge, just to like to button it up nicely.
Woo!
A great idea if anybody wants to use it.
I was going to say, like, if you wrote them in a card, you should get some
Well,
logo.
it's a form, it's an online form, and then we'll have a whole thing at the end of the month. And but the second question is like, why are you starting this? And then come back to that every time you want to
Yeah.
cancel out the class or you don't want to rebook or you're like, I
Yeah.
don't know if I want to go. Go back to why you want to do it. Why are you like pushing yourself this month or keep, taking
Yeah.
care of yourself this month? And some of
Taking
the
time
answers we've
for
gotten are
you.
really cool. Yeah.
That's
It's been
amazing,
really cool
honestly,
to
Max. Oh
see.
my God,
And
there's been so many sound bites in this for like coming from a studio owner, coming from starting two studios and being a part of one, and especially in the pandemic, right? Like you have so many sound bites. This is amazing. You're amazing. And you're frozen. Max. Well, I wonder if that's where we should end it. Max is frozen with a gorgeous face, though. Hey? Well, I want to thank you all. Let's see if she comes back on. I want to thank you all for being here and listening to us, and obviously let us know what you love. And Max, we'll say goodbye to Max. Leave us a comment. All right. Have a great day.